Welcome to Superself. My name is Josh, and in today's video I want to show you how I made this beautiful diorama. If you want to make a diorama of your own, stay tuned because at the end of the video I will share with you a free printable. Let's start with the materials. For this project I use a wooden board in A3 and some foam boards. I also use some brushes and acrylic paint. I've created some wall molds, some windows and some accessories for this project. I will put the links below so you can check them out. Additionally, I use some masking tape, a pencil, some jute cord and some pins. Since this is a diorama, some decorations in miniature size will help. So let's get right into it. To begin, I started by placing some of the molds that I already have into the board that will be my main wall. As I mentioned before, I have created this very versatile wall mounts in French style, and they are very modular. So I was trying to figure out how I would like them to be organized, how would I place them around. So I played a little bit with it before I decided what would be the final piece. I also created myself some frames, as you can see there, that I will be using also for this later as decoration. So I was trying there to figure it out, and this is why I decided to call this stage drafting. Once I decided where every piece was going to be, I was transferring the measurements into the board so everything would look sharp, and I was making sure that the distances were the same. So when I had to glue them in the next stage, it would not be crooked, or it would not be, or would actually have the real symmetrical look that I was going for. Now the next step is to glue the molds into the wall so that things don't move around later on when we want to start painting them. In a later section in the video, I will show you how to make these molds without the pieces that I've created. You can make some on your own with a technique using the jute cord, so I will show you that later, so stay tuned for that. Here I am adding the final pieces into the board, and once it's dry, we are ready to move to the next stage. As I promised, let me show you how to make some moldings, but first let me show you what I did. So I took two A3 foam boards and I draw on them the shape of the window models I wanted to use, and then I carved this out. I was missing a little extra mold on top, so I decided to add this mold on the top part to give extra dimension. So let me show you how to do that. First, I joined the two pieces with a piece of masking tape, and this masking tape will help us build upon to have that extra texture and also creating some extra dimension. So next we're going to take our cord. In this case I'm using jute cord, and it's going to be the size of the length of the wall or whatever piece you want to do, and I am sticking it to the masking tape to have the same length as the wall. And what you want to do is roll in the cord in the masking tape so it is fully covered, and in the end we're going to have a cord covered with masking tape. Basically, we are doing this step to allow the masking tape to stick better to the wall, because masking tape will always stick better in itself rather than in the jute. In this case we'll create some airspace and it's going to be very hard. Once you're going to start sticking it, you should really try to press and make sure that you are creating a good dimension and detail. As I mentioned before, you can use this to replace actually some of the moldings that you see before, and there are other materials you can use also. Instead of the cord, you can use wooden skewer, for example. Once your walls are ready, we are ready to move to the next stage. In my case, this is painting. I decided to start by removing some of the more visible marks that I made drafting earlier before. So I decided to prime the pieces together so that it will be easier to apply the color later. And I am priming it with a thin layer of white all over the surface area, and I am making sure that the tones and the grays are also covered. This will help me get in a more even color shade once I apply the color that I have decided to go for. I've decided to go with eggshell cream white. It is more of a peachy tone in the end, actually, but I liked it very much how it turned out, so I'm very happy with it. I unfortunately did not record painting of the final color, so apologies for that, but in any case you will see how it will all turn out. So it's also up to you whether you want to do this step of priming the piece or not. I just find it easier, especially when I have different tones in the background. In this case, the wood color and the gray moldings. So having an even tone is easier, especially because it's a light color when I'm applying on top. If you're gonna go for a moodier color, for example, you decide to do something in forest green or in blueberry blue, then you probably can skip this step completely. So let's move on to creating paintings. So as I said, I have designed some frames and I painted them in gold. I wanted to resemble this barroco style of frames. I really love them. And I have created some images and I also made some molds so that I could cut the pictures to fit perfectly in my frame. And that's what I'm doing now. As you can see, it is working beautifully. I actually would like to know if this is the kind of product you think it makes sense to maybe also add it to my shop, or if you have any ideas of what type of things maybe or other things I should design and maybe upload there, just let me know and I will be happy to give it a try. So I've designed these frames to have, like the normal frames, the ability to actually hang. So I'm adding here these little strings that are very moldable, and here is the final outcome. I think they look great and they're probably gonna look fantastic on the diorama. Now let's talk about adding some wall fixtures. So as I said, I've used my own design for the mounts on the walls. So I have created these beautiful French style doors and I'm just gluing them in place with some hot glue. Uh, this design that I've made has the ability to actually put a piece of plastic in between layers so that it actually looks like it is glass. So that's why you see maybe a little bit of reflection on it. I really like how this is going to turn out in the end. With that out of the way, it's time to start creating the holes that will hold the frames. As I said, they are designed to be hangable, so I'm using some pins there to create little holes in the wood and also to be able to hold the actual piece. I'm adding some light fixtures there and I am measuring that everything fits in perfect place and it has a cohesive distance and look overall. A very important part of the drama, of course, is the floor, and I am going for this French styled Louis XVI look, and I've decided to create some parquet tiles in a wood design, but I wanted to go with a little bit more modern take and added some color to it, and I came up with this. I printed the design in sticker paper. In A4 format it should have fit perfectly, however the sticker paper is a tiny bit smaller, so here you can see me trying to color match the edges so that it is not very dramatic or drastic. In the end, I'm very happy with how it turned out. After all that hard work, it's time to one of my favorite parts, which is putting everything together. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now, get ready for a free printable. You can just go to my website and click on free downloads, and in the bottom part you will be able to download a A4 PDF pattern with the flooring parquet that I did for this diorama. Remember to tag me in social media to share with me your creation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me your comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.